What is good, YouTube? It's your boy Benji. We back balling, man. I want y'all to first of all go ahead and follow and subscribe. Hoops HQ. Check out all the platforms, social media. Of course, Foot on the Line, Low, Legend of Winning. He's had some great critiques in response to one uh, interesting topic that Gilbert Arenas presented on his podcast. A lot of y'all know Gilbert Arenas, no chill Gil. He presented on his podcast that Giannis doesn't understand basketball. Giannis doesn't understand how to be great. A point of contention with a lot of people because the overwhelming response from a lot of people was, "Oh, he's MVP. He's got an NBA championship. How does he not know how to play basketball? How does he not understand basketball, Gilbert? What are you talking about?" I want to try and open everybody up to seeing this from another perspective. So that's what I'm here to do. All right.
Such an outrageous take that I didn't even think Gilbert Arenas was talking about Giannis. Like when I heard that, I was like, it sounded like he's talking about Anthony Davis, in all honesty. So first he claimed that Giannis doesn't know how to be great, which I found very interesting because I would fail to believe that somebody who started his career the way that Giannis has started it to where he is right now doesn't comprehend.
Oops, I'm sorry. I don't know how much of my video was playing, y'all. So I don't know if I lost any audio, but I was going off. I was spitting that crack right now. I was spitting crack. Um, my apologies. So if y'all lost anything that I just said in the last couple of minutes, basically what I'm summing it up to, Giannis for one didn't have to work on his game too much. I understand. Two, uh, he got to a point where he was so good that literally what will make you work on your game. And Lowe's trying to follow this up by saying essentially that he Gilbert's take of calling him great is incorrect. When, like I said, you can work yourself absolutely become an NBA superstar, but just because you aren't great doesn't coherently mean like because Gilbert's so good at choosing his words. Giannis can absolutely be a super good player, but that doesn't make him great because the greats ascend themselves to another level. Like, all right, for example, if we look at the offensive leaders in the NBA, now we've got some talented players here, right? You got Joel Embiid. He averaged 30.6 points a game. LeBron James. Well, a lot of y'all trash talk this year. He averaged 30 points a game. Giannis averaged 29.9, so essentially 30 points a game. KD averaged the exact same. Now, who is a better basketball player? KD or Giannis? If we're talking skill, Kevin Durant is absolutely a better basketball player than Giannis. Now, KD has learned the finite details of what it takes in order to put the ball in the basket, move within an offense, score, etc. Now I think Giannis has some of these intangibles. He's ridiculously hard playing. He plays super hard. Uh, he leaves everything on the court. But you can tell he's just at this point athletically gifted because he does a lot of mistakes that up here don't necessarily correlate. It's not a lot, but that's what kind of frustrates me about KD is because he's got a similar size and everything like that, Giannis, but obviously Giannis is a little more physically imposing. And I think if KD had add that to his game, we be talking about ridiculously, like freakishly, this unstoppable offensive player. Like KD's already, you can't do nothing with him. But anyways, Luka Doncic, Trae Young averaged 28 a game. DeRozan, Kyrie Irving. Now we have a lot of talented players that are getting a lot of buckets this year, right? Now, are these guys all going to go down as greats? Even Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, SGA, 24.5 points a game. Definitely talented, right? All-star. He going down as a great? Giannis has absolutely great work ethic because he's developed himself into this guy's a lot stronger, like Gilbert says, faster, etc. And just because you average 29 points a game doesn't necessarily mean that you have worked on your game so crazily that you've been able to do that. Giannis is doing what anybody who plays football that knows how to play basketball would do. 7'2" body. He's got strength, size, speed. He's doing what everybody would do that kind of can put their head down and just go to the rack. That's what I would think. But let's hear a little bit more.
For him, the concept of being great or doesn't know how to improve. I think people like Gilbert Arenas actually sell the NBA short when they say the things in which they say, claiming that someone like Giannis, who can put up the numbers that he does, dominate the way that he does, regular season and postseason, doesn't understand how to be great. Because if that is true, how is he able to put up those numbers? Are you claiming that in today's NBA, the league does not know how to stop somebody who doesn't know how to be great, who has not yet improved to put up great numbers? That means the league does not know how to stop somebody like that, which I think is just completely false. The second thing in why I thought it was very odd and why I was like, oh, there's no way that he's talking about Giannis here, is because he talked about his minutes and training his body.
Where he shot free throws so well. Here's what you were talking about earlier, Mark. It's incredible how many pounds he's put on.
50 pounds.
He's grown a little bit, but since he's
grown 7 inches.
Are we questioning Giannis's training regimen because he doesn't play a certain amount of minutes? He doesn't fit this arbitrary minute restriction or minute goal that you set out for these players. I don't understand that. It's very well documented. The reason why Giannis doesn't play that many minutes during the regular season is because of his coach, not because he's not able to.
Giannis, situations this year haven't really called for you to have to go and play more than 40 minutes. Is that something now down 0-2 that you feel like you need to put your hand up and say, I'm good to go as long as I need to be on the court?
I'm going to do whatever Coach Bad tells me to do. That's what I'll be doing all year. Obviously, I'll love to play 48 minutes, but he sees the game, he coaches the game, so I'm just going to do whatever he tells me to do.
If you go back and see how many minutes Giannis was logging when Jason Kidd was his coach, it was 37 plus minutes. So it's not as if like he can't do it. But then furthermore, when you sit there and say, I'm playing 38 minutes, I need to train my body to play 38 minutes, you're training it for what though? Because if you mean that he needs to train his body for 38 minutes and prepare to play 38 minutes, well he does that in the playoffs. Like he does it in the playoffs. In the last 2 postseason runs, he's been playing 38 plus minutes. Matter of fact, most of his postseason runs, he's been playing 38, 39, 40 minutes a game. So to sit here and to say that I'm looking at his minutes and he's only logging in 33 minutes, it's not because he can't do it. It's because that's the coaching out there in Milwaukee.
Another point. and we can argue this all day. If you were great, you are the coach in the NBA. When Kobe wanted to play the whole game, Kobe was playing the whole game. When LeBron James wanted to play the whole game, when LeBron James wanted to sit out, they're doing exactly that.
The same thing that happens with Steve Kerr with the Golden State Warriors. Like Steph Curry doesn't play 36.
They're blowing everybody out by the third quarter. Different take.
Plus minutes. Now, when Mark Jackson was coaching, he did, but right now he doesn't do that. It's not because he can't do it. It's not because he doesn't know how to train. No, he knows how to train. He just has a.
I'm nervous about Stephen Curry playing 40 minutes a game.
That much rather.
He has the stamina to do so, but Stephen Curry is absolutely injury prone. So
they're utilize and preserve his body for when they actually need it, i.e., the postseason. So you highlight
but I agree.
Like arbitrary standards, like he has to play 37 minutes. Iverson did.
Iverson was playing 43 minutes.
Iverson didn't win.
43 minutes, like there's a real like if I told Allen Iverson, yeah, you're gonna play 32 minutes tonight. Wait a minute, cuss you out.
Oh yeah, that's a fight. That's a fight.
Yeah, and Iverson career was cut short, and he missed games, several games throughout a year, because he just used to wear out his body. It's been undeniably true at this point. Look, I was watching this video back for a second, and what I'm about to say next sounds very disrespectful, so I decided to take it out because I don't want people to think that I'm disrespecting Allen Iverson. But the truth of the matter is, AI did not take practice, drills. He didn't take any of that serious, and I'll allow him to say it himself so people don't claim that I'm being disrespectful, even though I'm just telling the truth.
Was you serious about your practice, or were you?
I ain't give a fuck about drills.
Okay.
But if you play 5-on-5, then I'm ready. You know what I mean? Like,
so you didn't have a pattern of skipping practice. You went to practice, but you just didn't like certain things.
I had a pattern of skipping.
Yeah. Because they was doing drills that day.
No. Sometimes I was out too late.
You're a hawk.
I'm just telling you what you want me to lie to you, make it sound fly to you.
Hey, another instance of when you that guy, you can do whatever you want to do.
And this is the reason why when old heads try to have these conversations and they sit there and tell the younger audience out there, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. I actually watched it. I lived there. I was live. Shut the fuck up. Shut up. Because I'm quite frankly, I'm tired of those people talking. Y'all sit there and y'all glorify, y'all romanticize things that actually happen, so much so that the actual athlete himself will sit there and tell you what happened, and you're still trying to talk him out of the truth. Allen Iverson shouldn't have to tell this grown-ass man, which when we lie to you? Unfortunately, AI, they do want you to lie. They want you to lie to them so they can feel secure about the man they idolize. Oh, say it isn't so. Oh, my God. You're telling me you didn't take the game as serious as I thought you did? Oh, my goodness. Yeah, he didn't. He didn't. And Iverson is one of the very few NBA players that will be honest about it. You being critical of Giannis, which is absurd, but then bringing up Allen Iverson based off of some minutes requirement that you're making up in your head is dumb. But this is the reason why old heads can't be trusted having these conversations.
But also, I agree.
Idolize, romanticize, and just
I agree with half of the
lie through their teeth about what actually
I'm the mediator.
To the point where even the man himself is looking him in the eye, telling him the truth. No, I can't believe it. No. I
don't necessarily think that negates the fact that Gilbert Arenas said Iverson played 43 minutes a game, and he was going to play. Just because Iverson didn't want to go to practice doesn't necessarily mean that he didn't want to play and perform. So at the end of the day, there's plenty of guys that don't do anything in practice when you're that guy, but you can get in the game and show out. So I mean, the bright lights come on and you change up.
Giannis and Jokic, et cetera, but it's almost as if like Giannis can't do anything right. To look at where Giannis started his career to where he's at right now, to claim that he hasn't improved is outrageous. To look at Giannis where he's at physically, where he started his career, to where he's at right now, and to claim that he doesn't know how to train his body, not because you can't like see any physical differences, but because his coach decides to only play him 33 minutes. Even though before the coach got there, he was playing 37 minutes. And then in the postseason, he plays 38, 39, 40 minutes. What are you implying here? That doesn't, none of what you're saying makes any sense at all. But when it comes to Giannis, I think that, especially in the NBA, we have this way that we identify skills, right? And if you do not check off those boxes, then I think it gives a lot of people leeway to just claim,
I want to hear this.
He's not skilled, or he lacks it, or it always is a slight to somebody. I always ask this question: if you believe Giannis is lacking that many skills, if you really believe Giannis is not improving, if you really believe that him getting bigger and stronger, then why doesn't other players do it then? Andre Drummond ain't doing what he does. They're the same height, same weight. Why isn't it Andre Drummond ain't doing it? Why don't we have a bunch of other Giannis clones out here who are roughly his same height and weight, because there's several players in the NBA that fit that stature.
I understand where you're going with this, and it sounds like a great take. But now we're back to how the point that he arose was coaching. Coaching plays a big part of that. If Giannis was in a system where a coach did not want him to do what he's doing and he wasn't allowed that freedom, he wouldn't play under Jay Kidd, who was one of the greatest point guards ever, allowed him to even give an opportunity to see the court in a different angle, that allowed him to even play a position where he was bringing the ball up the court and put the ball in his hands and trusted him to do so, completely different. No one's going to give Andre Drummond the ball and tell him to play point guard. He's already carved out an identity for himself as a big banger, a rebounder, double-double machine. So can one say that that Drummond can't dribble? He's just not in a situation to do so. Bro, I've been around plenty of guys that are in the league. They're 6'10", whatever, can handle the ball like guards. But at the end of the day, that's not your role to do so. And obviously, you got guys like Stephen Curry, Kyrie Irving, obviously that are just superbly more talented at doing that than some of these guys. But that's not to say that they don't possess the ability to do so. It's just not your role on the team to do that.
It's because you have to have a very unique skill set to do what Giannis does. Now, it may not be as entertaining. It may not even be as impressive. But to sit here and to downplay who Giannis is as a player is a bit ridiculous. But Giannis has to do everything right. Giannis has to not only improve his body, he has to not only improve his handles, improve his.
I think this same criticism falls on every NBA player. James Harden was averaging 30 points a game. People were criticizing him saying he doesn't play defense. People were criticizing him talking about shot selection. People were criticizing him. He averaged 30 points a game and was averaging 10 assists. As a great, you're still going to get criticized. People were criticizing LeBron all year. He averaged 30 points a game.
His passing, now it's even though he won, he's not dominant enough. He needs to shoot better.
Because you can always improve.
He's free.
You can always improve. Giannis, 29 points a game. You shot 55% from the field. You shot 29% from three. 11 rebounds. Like I even brought up earlier, we talk about Shaq. Shaq was absolutely dominant, but he didn't shoot the ball well. We're improving, but we could obviously be better. You see right below Kevin Durant, 91% from the free throw line, 38% from three. Embiid, 37% from three. We got two guys operating the game pretty similarly. Giannis with the edge over Joel Embiid and free throw shooting. I'm sorry, and field goal shooting. But I think also Embiid has had a different offensive load to carry than Giannis. I think they're both kind of carrying their teams, but I would definitely say Philly looked lost without Embiid. I think Giannis just has a little more of a free realm to kind of do whatever he wants to do. Joel Embiid, people talk about him shooting too much, but he shoots 37% from three, 81% from the line. I mean, we're looking at almost neck and neck. The only thing that Giannis essentially had over Embiid was he shot a tick better from the field. But, I mean, Embiid shot better from three, shot better from the free throw line, had a little more rebounds than him, more blocks, less turnovers. I mean, if we're talking about somebody who's similar in stature, we can talk about the production right here. And people snubbed Embiid for MVP. For some reason, Jokic got it. And Jokic is down here with a team that got knocked out of the playoffs tremendously easily. So I don't know. But just because you do something well does not mean you can't improve.
Throws, free throws, then he goes into game 6, practically makes every single free throw en route to winning a championship. Then this past year was, I already had KD because down the stretch of games, and then literally when they played each other in the regular season, Giannis is the one who stepped up in the clutch. Then it was, when you play a certain defense, Giannis, you're going to be able to stop Giannis. You play a certain type of defense, KD, you're just not going to be able to do it in the playoffs. Then we just saw that same thing happen in the playoffs. Kevin Durant could not score against the Boston Celtics because a certain type of defense was played on him. In the play,
certain type of defense and poor offense.
Giannis, his percentages drop. Yeah, most players' percentages drop. Oh no, but when he's playing certain teams, yeah, when you play elite level teams, more than likely your percentages will plummet because they're elite level defensive units. Him struggling against the Miami Heat and the Toronto Raptors when they are literally, and I do mean literally, some of the most impressive defensive units in the past 5 years the NBA has offered us. That's not really it's not nothing, you know what I'm saying? Like that these are the same defensive units that Kevin Durant has struggled against. The same Miami team that, like, this past year, bro, Trae Young was horrific against that Miami team. Mum's the word, though. Nobody didn't say anything about that.
They did.
Because that doesn't fit the agenda. That's the skill. He has skills. But when it comes... See?
But that's the thing we're talking about. So Trae Young is super skilled, but at the end of the day, there's certain, like, basketball is a tall man's game. Trae Young cannot avoid the fact that he's 6 feet, really sub 6 feet, and all of the offense runs through you. The same way he was able to get stifled in college, because they know if we just don't allow you to get the ball, or if we make you have to make a smart basketball play and get the ball out of your hands because we're double teaming you and triple teaming you every time you get the rock, face guarding you, etc. We know we can take your team and you out of rhythm because they run everything through you. So you can be super skilled, but at the end of the day, if somebody is throwing double teams at you, the smart basketball play, and very few times will get ignored, is give the ball up. But if you've only been trained as a team in a unit to manufacture offense through this person, you're not going to know what to do. So it'll completely stifle your offense. And in return, it'll make Trae Young force shots up. Now, Trae Young is not 7'2", 250 pounds. That would absolutely change the way Trae Young played and his effectiveness on the game, because now you can affect the game a lot more because you possess these qualities and traits. So the argument is to be made transversely that if Giannis had a little bit more skill to his game, we wouldn't be talking about him being stifled in the playoffs or anything like that.
See, right? See, I knew. See, this is what I'm saying with Giannis. He just see, he can't score. He's not skilled enough. See.
Giannis is dominant.
When it's this play, it won't happen. But then Gilbert Arenas got some backlash for this. He then went on Instagram to expound a little bit more. So we're gonna read that off. Sometimes it's hard to understand.
And I read that.
Has he gotten better? Yeah, it actually. His 3-point percentage gotten better? No. Has his mid-range gotten better? Yeah, it actually. Yo, Gilbert Arenas saying nope when it actually has, like.
34% to 41%. We got improvement.
Like, no, factually,
his mid-range I disagreed with that point too. I thought that his mid-range was better, and I think he was getting a little more comfortable getting to that spot. As you can even see, the attempts are higher. Oh, sorry.
Has improved, but again, if it doesn't look aesthetically pleasing to you, then of course you're going to say no. But no, factually speaking, he has become a better mid-range shooter this year. I understand what Gilbert Arenas is trying to say, but once more, when we talk about skills, it has to fit this very unique scope of, like, what a player is supposed to be. If you don't...
Basketball skills are basketball skills are basketball skills. You can affect the game, absolutely, by effort, the intangibles that every coach wants every player to have. But every player is working on the same set of skills. Gotta learn how to dribble, gotta learn how to shoot, and then you have to learn how to play the game. Because there's plenty of guys that can dribble, plenty of guys that can shoot, but they don't know how to play basketball. So there's a bunch of skills everyone's chasing. But just because you can affect the game without necessarily being super skilled in one facet doesn't mean we just ignore the skills.
I don't think like Giannis is. Of course, Giannis isn't like an elite mid-range shooter, but to say that he hasn't improved, that is literally just a lie. Like he hasn't gotten better at that. That's a lie. To say that Giannis is back to the basket game has not improved, that is also just a blatant lie. To say that his passing game hasn't improved, that would also just be a blatant lie. To believe that Giannis as a rookie is who he is today is a bit ridiculous. Now, are there blatant flaws that he has in his game that he had when he entered the league up until now? Of course. Of course. You could argue the same for a lot of other players. I would argue LeBron came into the league as a mediocre perimeter free throw shooter, especially amongst all-time greats. And right now, that is still applicable to his career. But that does not mean that I don't think that he's not getting better in any other aspects. That would be foolish.
But you can, like, visually see the difference in LeBron James' game. It's crazy. Like, visually. But let's look at it. 29% to 36 and 36%. That's a 40% years of him shooting threes. That's improvement. 20 points a game to 30 points a game. That's improvement.
There are several players, especially at all-time greats, who enter the league with flaws, peak with those exact same flaws, and they exit the league with the same flaws. So I don't understand why, when it comes to Giannis, is it a possibility that he could have a consistent jumper, a three-point shot? Of course. But the idea that he has to have those things for him to be named the best player in the NBA, I think is a bit ridiculous. I think it makes
it very easy to not argue that. If Giannis shoots the ball, can dunk on you every time, go coast to coast, and defend, it makes it extremely hard to even try and argue that he's the best player in the NBA. Because he can do everything. So it's by saying, hey, if he adds these skills, he will be great. I think it's just kind of the overarching point that Gilbert was making. Because if he does, he does. And there would be no argument. Because what he would be able to add to his team would be just so ridiculous. If you're averaging 30 points in a game now and not knocking down shots at the rate that you possibly could, if you tweak a couple things, bro, you'd be good.
Because he's still able to produce at the levels in which he's able to produce. Does he peak as high as LeBron James? No. LeBron at his peak is better than Giannis right now. Is he peaking as high as Michael Jordan? No, he's not. Is he peaking as high as a lot of players throughout NBA history? No. But that's not the argument. The argument is
going to be great.
Is he the best player in the NBA?
No.
And more specifically to you, has he improved in any aspect?
What do y'all think, man? I think, obviously, great video by Low. Great takes. I'm always here to just mediate, man, between the two. I think it was a great video. What do y'all think, man? Does Giannis understand the game? Is Giannis great? Has Giannis improved? And is he the best player in the league? Leave in the comments below. Stay tuned to the next video.